James, we got that wonderful segment on the show that we call Two of a Kind, where we compare two things that are like waffles versus pancakes, paper towels, napkins, all that stuff. And of course, we got some great topics, and we always like try to fit them with the season that we're in now. So since we're in the season of Lent, I'm gonna ask you, James A. Which do you prefer to give up? Is it sweets, television, or something else? So three of a kind on this one. So, for Lent, I don't know if you celebrate Lent, but which one would you give up if you celebrated Lent, if you don't?
I would have to give up sweets.
And why is that?
Well, I'm not that big of a sweet person anyway, so it'll be a little bit easier to do that.
Now, see, you'll be lucky, man, because you know what the whole purpose of Lent is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, just to school some of you people in case you don't know, the reason why we have the season of Lent is so people could make a sacrifice. So it's 40 days in Lent, and it actually derives from Jesus fasting for 40 days in the desert, as we know from the Bible. So since he made that sacrifice of not eating for 40 days, we supposed to make a sacrifice on our own. Now I do admit I used to give up sweets, cookies, candy, all that stuff. I haven't done nothing like that in a while, so I probably should get back with it. But because see, if you give up sweets, James, and you say you normally don't like sweets, then that's not a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice simply because, and that's only my opinion on this.
Okay.
I don't get that craving for it.
Okay.
Which means that I can actually do the sacrifice for the 40 days.
Okay.
And don't have to, fight myself over warnings. So that makes it a little bit easier.
See, you lucky, man. I tell you, man, look, I gave up so much stuff over the years, but like I say, I just don't get into it like I used to. Chocolate is my biggest thing. Now here's something. I might have brought this up before on the show. I don't know if you know this, James, but by the way, I know I just kind of brushed over it. Do you celebrate the season of Lent? Maybe you don't. And that's fine if you don't. I don't know.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Here's something that people don't know, and I know the church is going to get me for saying this. Do you know that the season of Lent excludes Sundays?
Yeah, because you have one day to where you are able to go back and
exactly
get back into what it is that you gave up.
Yeah, and see, people don't know that because, see, Lent starts on Ash Wednesday, which is the day after Mardi Gras. So for those of you who are not from Louisiana like we are from, if you don't know when Mardi Gras is going to be, when Mardi Gras Day is, just go to a calendar and look for Ash Wednesday. It's always the day before. Now, of course, New Orleans celebrated like 2 weeks before Fat Tuesday, but it ends on that day before Ash Wednesday. So it begins on Ash Wednesday, and Lent ends on the day before Easter. If you go to a calendar and count Ash Wednesday all the way to the day before Easter, you get more than 40 days. But if you take away Sundays, you get exactly 40 days. A lot of people didn't know that. But it's supposed to be like a mini Easter, give you a little break, like you say. Now, some people do make a sacrifice and still, just whatever they gave up, they just still give it up on Sundays, which is okay. My brother Joe does it. He could do what he wants. I ain't doing that. If I give up chocolate, I'm eating my chocolate on Sundays. I'm sorry, Lord. Church, whatever. Anyway. But that's my thing, man. All right. Okay. So next topic on Two of a Kind. Since we're still in Black History Month, James A., I have to ask you, man, who is your favorite black leader? Is it MLK, the great Martin Luther King Jr., or Malcolm X?
I would have to go with MLK.
Okay.
And the reason being is we was taught more about him and the sacrifices and accomplishments that he made.
Yes.
Than we were Malcolm X.
Okay. And you know what? You're right about that because I think about that a lot. And, we both growing up as Christians, Malcolm X, as we know, was of the Muslim faith. So we grew up to be peaceful people, to be nonviolent, and so on. I will admit this, however. The older I get, I do lean not away from MLK, but I lean toward respecting and understanding Malcolm X. Because I'm going to be honest, as a kid, every time I saw pictures or videos of Malcolm X, he just looked like this mean leader. And, as a kid, you just thinking, okay, who is that mean man? I don't want to be affiliated with him. But as I grew older and became wiser, and then of course I saw the Malcolm X movie when Spike Lee did it back in the 90s, it made me realize this dude was not as bad as we perceived him to be. You know, a lot of people did perceive him that way, you know, whites especially, but even some of our own people. We thought he was some militant, mean guy. He was really just looking out for our people. They just had two different philosophies, him and MLK.
Right, and I think because of his fate, you know, and with a lot of us not fully understanding.
Yes.
So we couldn't really connect
That's
with
right.
what he was doing.
That's right.
compared to what it was that Martin Luther King was doing.
That's right. That's right. I really agree with you on that one. Now, here's one thing. I'm not sure if this is true or not, and I believe this is true. I heard that they never met.
I'm not sure about that neither.
And I was like, wow, MLK and Malcolm X. That's what, I don't know where I read that from, but, you know, maybe you guys could point me out being wrong. But, yeah. But anyway, I respect the hell out of both of them because they both were fighting for our people. You know, people look at Malcolm X like he hated white people. He really just hated these white supremacists, you know, people that really, you know, did evil and so on. He was always portrayed that way. I love the story where he visited Mecca and then he came back and then he was looking at people really equal and so on. But both of these leaders are definitely respectable to us. And but I do agree with you that I would lean more toward MLK because growing up as a Christian, you know, being peaceful and so on. But I definitely respect the hell out of Malcolm X, and I was glad to get to read more about him, to learn more about his voyage and so on, and then just to learn really what history was about. Anyway, so last topic on Two of a Kind, James A. And since James A, as we call him, the Silver Tongue DJ, you know, I know you DJed some parties before, right?
Yeah, I definitely have DJed some parties.
Okay, so I had to bring this one in, man. Okay, so you're DJing a party. What annoys you the most? A stupid song request or people touching your equipment?
A little bit of both, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? Could you elaborate?
Yeah. Well, I know for me personally, whenever I would set up, I would always try to set up out of the way.
Okay.
So that, you know, nobody would trip over anything or nothing along that line there.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you're always going to get those requests.
Okay.
Some of them you have to just look at the person and say, really? You know, and then, okay, mine used to always be, okay, give me a minute, I'm going to get to it. Okay, I'm going to get to it. Just hold up a minute.
Okay.
But it would be annoying that, you know, they coming in with a request that normally wouldn't be requested.
Wow. Now, did you feel like it was like that? Because back in the day, of course, when you did radio, when you were DJing and so on, this was right before, you know, of course, the internet broke out where you could just go to YouTube and find a song. Was it mainly because you didn't have the music, or was it you had to go through your piles of music? Like, what was so bad about most requests that were coming in?
Well, sometimes, you know, we had to wait until that music was released to where we could get a copy of it.
Oh, yeah, so, that's right.
You know, if you didn't have that copy, of course, you couldn't play it. So, yes, a lot of times it's with that, you know. Making a request, I haven't got my hands on that copy yet, so it's impossible for me to play anything. So, you know, you try to sort of brush it away a little bit and go to something else, and hopefully they'll forget about it.
Okay. Yeah, I like that one. And now about them touching your equipment, did you have people that try to do that a whole lot?
Oh, yeah, because they was, okay, look at it as this, you know, as DJs. You know, you bringing out equipment where people are not used to seeing.
Yes.
Okay, reel-to-reels, mixing boards.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Y'all don't know about that, young people.
Amps. They wasn't used to seeing that. So, of course, you know, it's like, wow, you know, no, you just cannot touch that. You know, it's like going out to dinner with your girlfriend and somebody else is watching her and that sort of annoy you in a minute, you know.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good one, man. But you know what's funny? I was reading when I was doing the research on this. I saw something else that annoys DJs. And one of the things was when one of the DJs, like, or maybe it was a bunch of DJs said this, what annoys them is when they're transitioning between songs, you know, so they're trying to do their mix between from one song to another one, and people come and bother them doing that particular part.
Yeah, have had that to happen.
Oh man.
One thing I started doing is just totally getting out of the way of the crowd.
Okay.
And start doing it like that. So sometimes I would do parties and I was like, I need that corner over there. And then, I'll come across like, hey, I'm the unseen DJ for the evening.
Oh, I like that.
That way I didn't have to worry about nobody coming along and bothering anything. Because like, okay, we hear the music, but where's the DJ? We don't see him anywhere. That's on purpose.
Man, you know what? That's a really good point. I never thought about that because I have been to clubs before, different types of clubs where I saw, I couldn't really see where the DJ was. Like if I wanted to make a request, I wouldn't even know who to talk to because I didn't know where the person was. So they probably do that on purpose.
On purpose, yeah. Man. Because, once again, you knew how expensive the equipment were back then.
Yes.
So to have someone come along and trip over a cord or something and break something or pull something loose, that was going to be a little expensive to you. So you try to avoid having them from doing it.
I tell you, I had my share of, where people would, song requests and so on. Never had it too much where they were touching the equipment, probably because I was using some old equipment at the time. But one embarrassing thing that happened to me when I first started DJing parties, and I only did a couple of them, is when I did it, I remember I was doing it on, we were in this, it was an area, I think it was a hall at the church, and it was wooden floors. So when people would walk or dance, I think I was playing the CDs, and then the CDs would start skipping, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I look like a terrible DJ right now. So, but I made up for it the next time. So I made sure that, because I think the equipment I had was a little shady at the time, so I kind of upgraded a little bit. So, working out better. So.
Yeah, and, I experienced that a couple of times myself. So that's when I decided to start bringing my reel along with me.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
To where I've already sit down, pre-mix everything. So now all I had to do was turn the reel on and let it go.
There you go.
So whether it was shaking or not, it didn't affect it in any kind of way.
And look, I know you young cats just like, what the heck is a reel to reel? I teach that in my radio production classes still. Not how to use it, but I just like to show the students so they can know where we used to be. Man, they're amazed when they see it. When I talk about how we used to have to cut the tape and all that and splice it back together and all that. But that reel to reel had some really clear analog sound, man.
It did.
I really loved it.
For me, I could set up a 3.5, almost 4 hour show on it.
Yes, you sure could.
And
you sure could.
Hit play, grab the mic, and just go have
That's
some
right.
fun.
Another thing people didn't notice about the reel to reel, that it recorded in different speeds. So remember back in the day with the VHS, where you could record in SP, LP, or super long play. So if you wanted more on the VHS, you put it in SLP, and you could do the same in that reel to reel world. So that's one thing I really did like about the reel to reel. That was a big time tool.
Yeah, but now, whole different game.
Whole different game, man. Hey, computer, baby. Macs, PCs, all of it. It's taking over, James.
Well, you know what? If you really want to know whether or not your students are paying attention to what you're trying to teach them, take them back and put them in that world. Put them in that world of the reel of real and the CD players and the turntable. And that'll tell you whether or not they truly paying attention.
Oh yeah, and that's what I meant earlier. When I show them that, you should see how wide their eyes are. They like, y'all use that? Like, oh look, here's the thing that really get them. And a lot of y'all don't know this, of course, not working in radio. When you guys, whenever you mess up, like record something on, let's say you mess up on the reel to reel and it's a really bad recording and you got to erase it, you have to use this thing called a bulk eraser, where you go over it. Now the reel to reel, you can record just right over it, just re-record on it itself. But the cartridge machine was like an 8-track tape, where the machine itself did not have an erase head. Right. So you actually had to take a bulk eraser, which was also called a demagnetizer, and you had to go over it and over it like you're giving it a bath. So basically it's just an instrument that you're rubbing against the tape to get rid of it. And when I used to tell them about that, James, they were like, what the hell? Why did y'all even want to do radio?
because it was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun.
You had to really put the work in.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't no such thing. I'm gonna press this button right here.
Exactly.
And everything's gonna be fine.
Exactly.
You had to put the work in.
Man, I tell you, look, we can talk for hours about this, man. Listen to full episodes of Power Hits 101, giving you the latest in R&B, hip hop, and cool conversation. Tune in on the Mixcloud app or at mixcloud.com.